Hello, friends and patrons. Thanks for tuning in. So I've got a short practice for you today that is focused on some poses and actions that will prepare you for arm balances. And even if you have no interest in doing arm balances, these are great poses and a fun sequence to help build the upper body strength and intelligence that is needed for arm balancing poses. So it's a short practice. Let's go ahead and get started. So we'll start off today. Also, all you need is a mat and a couple blocks and maybe a bolster. So it's a minimal prop class. And let's start off sitting with the legs wide, the feet wide. You can just sit on a blank mat in Upavishta Konasana. Now, obviously, if you need to sit up on some height so that you can lift up all the way from the base of the spine and get that nice lift in the chest, then of course, at any point in time, modify, take props as needed. All right, let's get those legs nice and straight. Take your hands behind you. Draw your shoulder blades down your back. Make sure your chest is nice and open, and be sure that you're not overarching your back, but you can also get that sense of really lifting up all the way from the tailbone to the sacrum to the crown of the head. Let's make sure those legs are really straight. So one leg at a time, really extend through your leg, even lift your heel up, and then make your heel heavy. And can you press the back of the knee, the back of the thigh onto the floor? And then the other leg, make that leg super straight, suck the kneecap in, even straighten your leg so much that you lift the heel, and then make that heel heavy and open the back of the knee to the floor. The feeling you want is that the backs of those thighs and the backs of those knees are reaching and pressing into the floor. All right, let's add a little movement to this now. So make sure you have room on either side of you. We're just going to take one arm down. We can start with the right arm and sweep that top arm up and over. And as you sweep, we're going to move a little bit. As you sweep the arms over, keep those legs straight. So the legs still have to do their work. That low body serves as a foundation. And then also notice that I'm working with a straight arm. And I'm thinking about extending that arm. You can even extend it like this, like an arrow. I'm extending that arm like an arrow. And I'm extending that arm all the way from the outer hip. So that whole side seam of the waist stays nice and long. I'm getting a nice lengthening on the side waist. And also we're just kind of getting things moving. This can feel really nice if you're feeling, maybe a little tired, a little sleepy, like you need to get things moving, but you don't want to start with anything too extreme. Let's just do a couple more of these. All right. And now we're going to start to bring those legs together little by little with each lateral extension. So you extend over and just bringing those legs slowly together. Again, up and over. And then my legs are a little bit wider than hip width. All right, and then of course you can continue with this for as long as you like, as long as it serves you. But I'm going to go ahead and bring my legs into Baddha Konasana now. So hold on to your inner knees. Don't grab your feet, just bring your feet in, let those feet land where they land. And then take your hands behind you, keep that chest nice and open, and draw your buttocks forward, draw that sacrum forward. And as you do that, think about extending from the inner groin to the inner knee to outer hip. And rather than pressing with the big toe side of the foot, press with that pinky side of the foot, the outer side of the foot. Let the big toes separate. Let the feet open like a book. Hopefully you can feel that sense of elongation through the inner leg, and then an engagement. Really, it's an engagement with the hip sockets. So those outer hips engage. So why all this in preparation for arm balances? Well, arm balances, yes, they do require some upper body strength, intelligence, maybe even a little bit of abdominal strength too, although we don't want to overdo the abdominals in arm balances. But also the pliable and strong hips are an important part of arm balances too. All right, we'll just stay here a little bit longer. All right, now let's go ahead and draw those knees up and straighten those legs out. Okay, now we're going to come into a pose called Malasana, garland pose. And for many of us, especially if you did not grow up sitting on the floor or squatting, we're a little tight in our calves and Achilles. So you might want to roll up an extra blanket or sticky mat for this one. And what you're going to do, you can do this with me, is you can place those heels up on the roll. And we'll start with the legs together. And then you're just going to squat down. Just going to squat down. Let that buttocks reach, drop toward the floor, not resting on the floor. You can give those thighs a little hug, and then lift your chest to reach the arms forward, palms down. Let's just hold this for a few breath cycles. So Malasana is actually a foundational pose for many of the arm balances, especially poses like Bakasana. All right, now keep those feet together and let's just separate the knees. Again, let that buttocks release down, and then let's inch those hands forward. Inch those hands forward. You can even release your head down. Let's just hang out here for a few breath cycles. All right, now one arm at a time, you're going to thread those arms through, palms facing up. So we're moving into Malasana 2 now. Reach those arms back, palms up, and let your head release down. Once again, just stay here for a few breath cycles. Let the body get used to being in this position. Now, if this is all coming along, you can also reach back and hold those heels, widen those elbows out to the side, and see if you can get your head to reach a little further toward the floor as that buttocks continues to drop towards the floor without resting on the floor. Smooth, soft breath. All right, to come out, let's just sit back and straighten those legs out into Dandasana staff pose. Heels heavy, open up the backs of the knees, shoulders back, chest up. Okay, now you could repeat that cycle on your own, but we're going to go ahead and move along. Also, I did want to mention too that if Malasana is not accessible to you, let's say if there's some kind of knee issue or hip issue, you can also do something similar on a chair. I'll just show what that looks like. So, or even let's say you're working from home and you just need a little desk break. You can sit on a chair with the feet wide, and then from here, you can come forward just like this. Let those forearms release to the floor. Oh, this actually feels really good. Let your head hang. So this can be a really nice desk break sometimes if you need to relieve some tension in your head. And this also helps to build up that suppleness in the hips that is helpful and useful for so many things. All right. After doing that, you may want to come up and do a little back arch over the chair. Let that chest open. Okay, moving along, we're going to do just one standing pose today. So we're going to take Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose, because Ardha Chandrasana is one of the first poses where we learn to take weight on our arm. So if you struggle with balance, you can, of course, take your back to a wall. I'm going to go ahead and do it in the middle of the room, but you could always do this with your back to a wall like this, and then that takes some of that balance question out of it. All right, let's stand with those legs nice and wide. Have a block handy on that right side of you, and then turn the right leg out from the root of the thigh. Inhale, exhale, bend that right leg. Take your right hand down on the block, left arm up in the air. Now step forward, shift your weight, put weight on that right arm. So we're learning to take weight on the arms, put weight on that right arm, put weight on that right leg. And then with a bent right leg, straighten that left leg up, turn the chest, turn the waist, turn that top hip up to the ceiling, and then you'll bend the leg, whoop, and then step back. And we'll repeat this a couple more times. So we're getting used to bearing weight on one arm and one leg. Inhale, exhale. Try to keep your eyes forward. Try not to look down. Feel what it's like to bear weight on that arm and on that one standing leg. And again. So you can see I'm getting a little wobbly here. It's normal to lose your balance a little bit. This is part of the process. This also helps build up strength in the ankles and of course the legs. All right, and then let's take the second side. Just make sure you're not going to land on anything awkward if you fall out of the pose. Again, work to keep those eyes forward. You can also take your top hand on the hip if that's helpful for you. Try to keep those eyes forward. And then notice that moment when you start to put weight on that standing arm, on that down arm. And come on up. A couple more repetitions here. And again, any of this, if you're feeling like you need to dig in a little deeper, you can always repeat this more than I'm doing in the recording. Let's do one more on this side. So notice I'm really bending that standing leg. I'm putting weight on that arm. And then with a bent standing leg, I raise the top leg and then I straighten that bottom leg, drawing the femur up into the hip socket. Boop. And then you may have a little tumble out. It's all right. Luckily, we don't have far to fall here. And then let's stand up straight and tall and be in Tadasana, mountain pose, even standing. Just take a couple breaths here. All right, now the really fun part. So what you're going to do, you're going to sit so that your feet can slide. So I don't want your feet on a sticky mat. So you can fold your sticky mat up. If you have a very grippy or sticky floor, you may even want to grab a towel or a blanket for underneath your heels, because you're going to want your heels to be able to slide. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your two blocks, put them on the outside of your hips like this, and extend those legs straight forward, Dandasana. Now, with legs straight, press into the blocks, and then draw your navel to spine and swing those hips back like a swing and come down. So notice, I'm not doing this one. It's not a piston action. It's more like, think like a porch swing. So you're swinging the hips back and those heels draw towards you. Let's do 3 to 4 times. Inhale, exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and come down. Okay, next one, you may be feeling that in your abs, also in your shoulders and your upper body as well. So this will definitely strengthen your upper body. Next one, you're going to lift up and just cross those legs and then send them out. So I'm going to show what that looks like from this angle as well. So we're not sitting down. I mean, you're sitting down here, but you're crossing the legs. Notice I'm on my outer feet, and then I take the legs out and I cross them and I take them out. Let's repeat that a few more times. So I cross the legs, bring them in and take them out. Let's do 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, let's come back and do 3 more of the straight legged. Inhale, exhale, here we go. 1, don't forget to breathe. 2, 3. Okay, next one. If you have knee issues, you may want to skip this one. You're going to sit with your right shin down, left shin on top of the right shin. So it might almost feel like a nice little calf massage. And then again, you'll take those blocks alongside of you, and then you're going to press down and lift your hips up. And we'll go 1, 2, navel to spine. Let your back round. So don't try to do this with a straight back. Navel to spine, let your back round. 3, and then maybe you can pick the whole thing up. Pick the whole thing up. I think these are kind of fun. All right, let's switch the legs. Straighten those legs out. And then the left leg will be down, right leg on top. And here we go. 1. Don't forget to breathe. 2, the arms straighten. Let your back round, navel to spine. 3, and then maybe you even pick the feet up. You can also put the blocks on a higher height. That it can be helpful. Whew. All right, good. Of course, any of that can be repeated as well. I think I've had my share of that for today, though. Okay, now where can we take this? We can start to take this into some of the arm balancing poses. So we'll start with, just today, we'll touch on Eka Asta Bhujasana, one-handed foot pose. So draw your right leg in, draw that right leg up. Now we want to keep, notice my leg isn't down like this. We want the shin parallel to the floor. And then, you know, if you're just kind of starting out with this kind of work, you can just work a little bit on that suppleness in the hips, taking that leg back, like a little sawing action. All right, for those that are more experienced, or if you have the suppleness, the mobility, you'll take that right arm underneath that right leg and really hook that arm over your shoulder. And then take those hands down. Now this requires hip strength. So I'm thinking outer shin in, outer knee to inner knee. So I have to use the strength and suppleness of my hips to hold myself here. And then inhale, exhale, press down into those hands, lift the butt up, navel to spine. And then as I ratchet my right leg down, maybe I can lift that left leg and hold. 3, 2, one, you might catch a cramp in that left leg, and then come on down. All right, straighten that right leg out. If you need to take a second and let your abdomen just extend up and open, you can do that. And then change sides when you're ready. So this definitely takes strength and suppleness in the hips. That's why poses like Malasana, Upavishta Konasana, Ardha Chandrasana, Baddha Konasana are all valuable poses. All right. So this right here is good work. Next steps, lift your butt. Next steps, lift that bottom leg and hold and breathe. Grip that thigh muscle to the bone and come on down and straighten those legs out. And let's come back to our Baddha Konasana. So feet together, knees apart. So we're just touching on these poses today. You could, of course, carry this into other arm balances like Bhuja Pidasana, Dviasta Bhujasana. I don't know about you, but my hips feel already much more open. All right, we'll do one more. We'll take Bhuja Pidasana. So if you are a little bit afraid of, let's say, landing on your face or landing on your butt, you could always, throw a bolster or a blanket down just to give yourself a little padding there, right? Okay, so we'll take Bhuja Pidasana now. So for this one, you're going to start with the feet about hip width or a little wider, and it's like an Uttanasana, but you're going to bend your legs. I like to work with the blocks. It makes it a little bit easier. You can skip the blocks if you don't need them. And one arm at a time, you're going to work your arms underneath those legs. Okay, so it's like Kurmasana, but standing up, those that know that pose. And then you put the weight on those arms, take one foot underneath the other. Now we have to look forward, get those elbows straight and draw the feet in as we lift up. And maybe you can hang out here all day. And then take those legs out, go the other way, get those elbows straight, draw the feet in, look forward. And then from here, you could even start to work on that Titibhasana. All right. All right. We're going to wrap it up with the arm balances from there because I said I'd keep it a short practice. So to cool down, to unwind, let's just take a nice Supta Baddha Konasana. So we want something that lets the front body relax and open out, since we did quite a bit of contracting and flexing of the front body. So take your block and your bolster. You can put your block down like this, just flat. And then that bolster just kind of angles up. And then from here, you'll put your feet on that bolster, feet together, knees apart, arms out to the side, below shoulder height. Roll those arms from inside out, palms up, and just let your belly relax. Let your inner legs relax. Let the front body fall to the back body. Let the breath be smooth and soft. You can even close your eyes and rest here for as long as you need. All right. To come out, whenever it's time for you to come out, I definitely suggest you stay as long as you need to come out. No sit-ups to come out. So you'll just roll to your side. And then you could just sit upright for a moment to close, or you could take a little Shavasana. I hope this was useful and fun for you. And of course, as always, if you have requests, if you have comments, I love hearing about what you want to learn about and hearing about your experience. So feel free to write in and let me know how this was for you. Thanks, friends.